What's up, guys? Josh Lau here with the Card Guys, and today is March 23rd, 2025. The calling in Sao Paulo is still going on. However, the top 8 has wrapped up. There was a game between Dorinthia and Aurora, and, well, there was a little bit of some misplays that I do want to address, and they have to do with priority, playing attack reactions, defense reactions, and the whole, verbal, like articulating yourself during those phases. So we're going to take a look at the video. I'm going to give my thoughts on that, and then we're going to go to the playmat. I'm going to show you guys how I like to play Dorinthia, and I think I play it pretty cleanly and pretty clearly. And I think that if you are a Dorinthia player playing, especially Dawnblade, I think you could pick up some tips there. Just also in general, I think if you're playing any deck that has attack reactions, I think that could be useful for you as well. All right, so let's first take a look at the VOD, and then I'll give some of my thoughts. All right, guys, so here is the turn in question. Just for context, the previous turn, there was a pretty big Steelblade Supremacy Glistening Steelblade turn, and the Aurora did overblock by 2, so the Aurora does suspect that there is a Blade Flurry somewhere around. So we have Warrior's Valor into Dawnblade for 6, and the Aurora player says no blocks. He plays the Blade Flurry. We see the emotion there from the Aurora player. He says, am I going to take 2? The Dory player says, do you not have do you have any defense reactions? The Aurora player says no. The Dory player tries to play another Blade Flurry. The judges jump in and say that you can't do that, which, for the record, is the correct ruling there. Then we have the commentators basically explaining that. Okay, so from that particular play, let's just be very clear that the judges were right to step in there. When you play an attack reaction and you change the dice, that is basically shortcutting that it has resolved. In the current game of Flesh and Blood, there's no situation where you would not resolve the attack reaction. There's no advantage for the defensive player to put a defense reaction on top of that, and there's no point in putting another attack reaction on top of the first attack reaction. You might as well just resolve it, get priority back, and put another one on the stack and resolve that. Because there are some very specific lines where you actually could mess yourself up. For example, you play Blade Flurry, and then instead of resolving Blade Flurry, you put a Shift the Tide of Battle on the stack. And Shift the Tide of Battle says target. You can't even do that because it says target attack with power higher than its base, right? So there could be situations where it's actually where it's actually bad for you, right? So moving on, if you put an attack reaction on the stack and it resolves, as the active player, you have priority. So you can put another attack reaction on the stack, or you can pass reactions. So then the defensive player would have a chance to deploy reactions if they have any. If not, then both players have passed. It goes to damage, right? So if you want to put 2 Blade Flurries on the stack, you basically could just shortcut it and put both of them on the stack. There's really no advantage to putting one, unless you are trying to bait out a D-react. Let's say I attack for 6, they block 6, I Blade Flurry to 8, and I think they have a defense reaction, that I wouldn't play the other Blade Flurry. They play their Sink Below. I'm like, okay, sure, you got it. I arsenal the other Blade Flurry, right? So in that situation, you wouldn't really want to put 2 of them on the stack. There's really no advantage to putting 2 on the stack. Just resolve the first one, and then resolve the second one if you think that is to your advantage. But given the situation there, he blocked for 0 on 6. So you could basically just shortcut and put 2 Blade Flurries on the stack is fine. Okay, so just to be clear, if you say, do you have any reactions as the Dory player to the defending player? that is passing reactions. If you say something like take 6, that is passing reactions. If you say no reactions, that's passing reactions, right? So there's several ways to do it. But basically, when you resolve a reaction, remember that priority is on you, and you need to say pass priority, or say take 6, take 8, whatever, right? You could also ask any reactions, if that's basically passing reactions as well. Okay. All right, let me take you down to the playmat a little bit and show you exactly how I deal with all of these things, and the exact verbiage I use, and the exact way that I play the physical cards. All right, let's do that. All right, guys, welcome to the playmat. Let's take a look at how to cleanly play Dorinthia, especially in the reaction step. All right, so we got a hand very, very similar to what our Dorian Sao Paulo had. I'm going to play Warrior's Valor. Now, normally you just play this and then go here. But if you're against Illusionists, you actually need to say, does this resolve? Even against Wizards, you need to ask, does this resolve? You can't just straight go for this. Because of Arc-like Sentinel, maybe some shenanigans with Storm Striders messing up with your hand or something like that, right? So the correct way to do this is to play the card, pitch for it. Does this resolve? In 99% of situations, you could just skip this. But if you're playing at professional REL, it should slow down a little bit, especially against those two classes. Okay, then we send our Dawnblade for 6. We should always have some dice around to indicate the power of the attack. You could use these. I personally don't use those. I use, these dice because I like having everything compact. Okay, 6. I will verbally say the power of the attack. I will say the on hits of the attack. This is 6 on hit, go again. My opponent has the opportunity to block if they want. Let's say they block. Let's say they block for 6. Okay. I will not go to reactions until they give me confirmation that this is their block, right? So I will ask, blocking for 6, and they will say yes. Sometimes I even put a dice on their block. Now, those of you who have played against me know what these D20s are for. Whenever I grab a D20, that means things are about to get kind of big. All right? So, the reason you need to wait for your opponent to finish all their blocks is most people are going to be good about this, but there's some people that like to block with a card and then add another card and kind of see how you react. It's basically angle shooting. So to protect yourself against that, I don't make any moves. I just put my cards on the playmat and I just wait. Like, I know what these cards are. I don't need to look through these. I don't need to flick through these. I just put them here and wait for their block. So they block 6. I say blocking 6. They say yes. I say, okay, in reactions, I will play this Blade Flurry. Now, like I said before, there's literally no advantage to your opponent responding to this attack react. So I don't even hold this up in 99.9% of situations. I just place this onto the playmat, pay the resources if I need to, and I tick the dice up. Okay? So I'll say, I'm going to play a Blade Flurry. This gives +2 to this attack, +2 to this next attack. Now, if I want to play this other Blade Flurry, I need to do this now. So if I play this Blade Flurry, this will go to 10. Right? Now, obviously, this play gets completely blown out by a sink below or something, right? But let's say that's what we want to do, right? So we go there, and then we say pass priority. Oh, we should have one floating. Oops. Yeah. So we say pass priority. that means we want to go to damage. Our opponent has a chance to play a D-React if they want to. If not, we go to damage. I say, all right, you take 4, and then trigger any on-hits that are relevant, like Glistening Steel Blade Supremacy, etc. Right? Now, let's say there are some tricky situations. So let's start off by going like this, right? There are some people that will shortcut things, either maliciously or not. The best example I have is, this is like seared into my brain as like a core memory of Fab. The final round of the very first US Nationals, I was playing as Bolton. And it was a very, very weird line. I think some of you may have heard me tell the story, but basically I was very, very far ahead against the Bravo, playing as Combo Bolton. And it was a very, very weird situation in the end of the game where I actually tutored a soul food with my Beacon of Victory. Because I needed the pitch, and I wanted the soul food to be on the bottom of the deck so I never saw it again. And after I played my Beacon of Victory for whatever, I ticked the dice up to like 7 or something. And my opponent was blocking for 5, and he said, so I take 2. And I said yes. Now, by me saying yes, that can be interpreted that I'm passing to damage. I did not activate my Bolton Hero ability to give the attack go again. I had like a bolting blade lined up and everything, right? And so I lost that game. And that was very seared into my memory. So, as a Dorinthia player, if your opponent asks, so I take da-da-da-da-da, you probably shouldn't respond to that question. If you do respond to that question, you could say something like, if we went to damage, yes, you would be taking 2. Or, we're not going to damage yet. You could say something like that, right? So that is one tip that I can give everybody. All right, another slight nuance here is whenever my opponent plays a D-React, I will always ask whether or not they want to resolve it or not. Basically indicating that I'm going to let this resolve before I do anything. That's obviously relevant for things like Glint the Quicksilver. This has to resolve before you play Glint, okay? There's basically no situation where you should put an attack react on top of the stack of a D-React, right? There's also situations with Shelter. If they're playing Shelter, I always ask D-React or ability. I don't assume anything. That's something that you should also do. So yeah, just remember when you play your attack react, after you tick up your dice, you have priority to play another reaction. If you pass priority, if you say go to damage, if you say take 2, if you wave your hand at them like that, that's basically passing priority, right? So be aware of that. Your opponent can try to shortcut some steps like I told that little story before. So don't be aware of that. Be very, very clear in your communication about where you are in the turn order. And yeah, you'll be fine. So yeah, just be clear and concise. Understand how the layers resolve, how priorities passed, and all that. All right. Hope you learned something. See ya.
Hey man, did you get the KO deck for Worlds? No one's doing that, okay? Like,
Heard to play whole horse now. Don't kill him. Get greedy. Put him in the middle for now. That's perfect. All right, next year.
RTN champion.
Yeah, we're gonna have to order a couple more.
Thanks for watching the video.
Here's some more Card Guys videos you might enjoy.